you can tell an Asian elephant from their African relatives by their high domed foreheads, their arched backs, and smaller ears. Now to welcome you here today, the elephants would like to give you a safari salute. And before we begin with any demonstrations, I'd like to start off with a brief introduction. First up, we have 15-year-old George. And next up, 7-year-old Chuck. Now, when working with animals of such large size, it's extremely important that our trainers develop a strong bond of trust between themselves and the elephants. Today, we'd like to prove to you guys just how strong this bond is. Trainer Steve's going to lie down flat on the ground as George stretches out across him. Now, keep in mind that George weighs over 7,000 pounds. Think it's time to let him up, George? No! Well, you're going to have to let him up sometime. Well, sorry, Steve, but you might be down there for the rest of the show. Oh, well. Oh, there he goes. Well, looks like Steve could use a hand, George. Or maybe a trunk? That was nice of you, George. What a helpful elephant. Elephants are still used today in the teak forests of Myanmar. They harvest wood from the forest and drag it down to the river where it floats to the nearest mill to be processed. Today we're going to give you guys a working demonstration to show you just how these elephants are used. We're going to slip this harness over George's head, and he's going to pull this enormous log around the arena for us. Now, as you can see, elephants are quite strong and powerful, and are much preferred over heavy machinery due to the fact that they are much more maneuverable. They can also reach high mountainous areas that tractors and other vehicles can't reach, while doing less damage to the surrounding forest. Now, the harness that George is wearing is much like those used today. This one is made out of canvas, but they can also be made out of leather. It evenly distributes the weight over George's chest and shoulders to allow him to pull this heavy load without any problem. Now, George is again going to show off his power and strength by bringing the log back up to the front for us. Now, you may have noticed here at the safari that some of our elephants have tusks. In the Asian species of elephant, only the males have long visible tusks. The females have a much shorter version called tushes. An elephant's tusk is made out of ivory, and ivory is extremely valuable. In recent years, the price of ivory has tripled, and because of this, nearly 100 elephants are killed per day in Africa for their tusks. Well, now that George is up at the front, he would like to say hello.
Ay, qué peca.
Well, it looks like little Chuck over there wants to prove that he too has great power and strength. He looks pretty excited to show us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do you think that Chuck will be able to pull that enormous log in the corner for us? Yeah, you think he can do it? I don't know, it does look pretty big. I think he can do it. What about you, Chuck? Think you can pull that log? No? Well, what if I give you a treat first? Well, that didn't take very much convincing. Digging those heels, Chuck? Let's see it. Wow, that's amazing power and strength. Good job, Chuck. Now, when our elephants are young, we like to keep their loads nice and light to allow them to get used to wearing the harness. But it won't be long before Chuck is pulling just as heavy a load as George did. Now Chuck has always been a very tidy elephant, and he always likes to clean up after himself, so he's going to bring the log back up to the front for us. This is when those long, sturdy tusks come in handy. And of course, Chuck is going to show off a little bit first. Well, thank you, Chuck. He's so proud of himself, he's hopping away. Now, one of the most unique features of an elephant is their trunk. An elephant's trunk has over 150,000 muscles and ligaments, which is more than we have in our entire bodies. An elephant can use their trunk